to Three Chords and the Truth. I'm Pete Kramer. Sorry that our other friend Alex Nobles couldn't be here tonight. He got buried with some stuff at work, but he'll be badly missed. But glad everybody is here with us. Tonight, it's pretty cool. Got some friends of ours, Michael Trigg-Lehman and Vicky DeVoe from Red Rain. We're going to be talking to them in just a second. And it occurred to me that last week when we first started this, we had a bunch of gremlins in the system. We had problems with the audio, and things were just crazy. We got them fixed, thanks to Sebastian De Jesus. We fired last week Sebastian De Jesus, and we found ourselves another one, and he's pretty good. But in case you guys don't know who Alex and I are, Alex is the founder of The Noblemen, hence his last name, Alex Nobles. Really cool band. If you get a chance, check them out. My band is called the Eastwood Project, and we don't really play out that much. We're more of a recording band, but we're, believe it or not, we're just starting our 5th album. We started the first song on it today with the guys that we're playing with. And enough about us, because you didn't come here to see us. You wanted to see the real people. So here we go. Come on, Sebastian, let's bring in Mike and Vicky from Red Rain. And everybody clap. Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
Great, thanks.
Good. Before we get started, I got a whole bunch of questions I want to ask you. But Mike, please tell me what the Trig is. Explain that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that know you around Western New York. Personally, I've known you for about 7 or 8 years, but I don't know what Trig is.
Oh, you disappeared on us. Uh-oh. You locked up on us there for a second, so I didn't hear your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what? Are we back?
Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Like I said, there's a lot of people. I've known you for about 8 years. I've seen on the Facebook Michael Trigg-Lehman. I don't know what the Trig is. Can you explain that to us?
Oh, Trig. Yeah. Well, it's all my life I never had a nickname. I didn't want one. But when I was in a band several years ago, it was a band called Stranger Inside. I exclusively play electronic drums, and it was right during that period that I started using them full time. And when we would be rehearsing and recording like you do, I would refer to the drums as triggers. I'd say, well, hang on, I got to adjust this trigger. I got to put a different sound in this trigger. And after about 3 months, one of them said, what the hell are triggers? What are you talking about? And I explained it to them what they were. I said, these aren't actually they're drums, but I said, but they're called triggers because you hit it and it'll play any sound you program into it through the module, the brain, as they refer to it. So then the next day I showed up for rehearsal. Hey, Trigger, how you doing? And then it got shortened to Trig. And there were pictures of Roy Rogers' horse being sent to me in emails. And Trigger, and then all of a sudden, then I joined a band after that, New York Rock and Review. Yep. And I decided, hey, it'd be fun if I had a stage name, like a single name, like Elvis or Cher or Sting or something like that. So I said, I'll be Trig. So that was how and then when I put it on Facebook wouldn't, I put it up with the parentheses behind or the quotes behind on either side of Trig, and Facebook wouldn't let me put them there for some idiot reason.
Really?
Yeah, they said you cannot put nicknames. So I said, okay. So I took the quotes off and it let me put it up there. So that's how my actual middle name is my father's first name, which is Warren. And he was a very, very outstanding professional guitar player who actually got courted by RCA Records. But so my actual real name is Michael Warren Lehman, but the Trig, it's like a little stage name thing. So.
Well, that's something else I was going to ask you about, because I've seen some of the things that you've posted on Facebook, when that was, kind of curious to me, because you've posted things about your dad and, what a great player he was. And, another one, rich in Buffalo music history. And there's other things that you've posted about things that you've done with, I believe, some of the local radio stations or TV stations. Go ahead and, tell us about that the background that you've got in that, because I think that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
real quick. Yeah, I used to work for a local cable company, and when I worked for them, I got to be friends with a lot of local radio personalities. Uh, I won't mention all their names, but everybody's heard of them. They're famous. They're well known, and I was fortunate enough to be able to have a little bit of a talent for voiceover work. And I can do voiceovers and I can write scripts for them and I can produce and direct them. And I used to do that. I used to be, I don't know if anybody remembers it, but I used to be known as the Channel 20 guy on Adelphia Cable, or it used to be International Cable.
Yeah.
I was the guy on Channel 20 when they did the pay-per-view movies, and I hosted a show where we talked about the movies and we showed clips from them, and I wrote and produced all of those.
No, no kidding.
And yeah, and then they had a floor director and all that type of thing. And then from that, I got voiceover work, so I was doing commercials like for local supermarkets, and I think I did one for Wendy's and one for Muddy Taco or something for other. But just quick little things. And then I used to do voiceover things every week that was on this other channel that they would play, along with other well-known local voiceover people and voice actors and DJs, people on the radio. And I got to know them. So I did all that. So that was a nice thing. And then my friend, who sadly has passed away, John Ruff, he was a childhood friend. He and I always had shared a love of the Beatles. And he came up with the concept to do a radio show called Beatle Memories. And it was going to be a show about his and my memories of the Beatles from a Western New York standpoint. And we would play the songs. And that was on WJJL radio for about 2-3 years.
Wow.
And then sadly, he passed away in 2013. And they wanted the show to continue, but I said it was John's show. He started, so I don't really feel good about continuing it because that was his baby. And so I've done that type of thing. And I used to be on the cable radio station. They had a radio station that played over the cable. So that's my history there.
No, that's pretty cool. Now, I didn't know that about the Beatles show. I remember some of the other things that you had said before, but all right, let's stop there for a second because I want to bring Vicky in, and because I don't want to get to the Red Rain part yet. I'd like to know, Vic, because you surprised me when you told me the other day that Vicky had never played in a band before. And I want to keep this for a minute, so let's not go too deep into the Red Rain thing, but Vicky, tell us.
Well, yeah, before Red Rain, I've never actually sung in a band, where I've actually been at the helm. I've sung music, I've been in music all my life, basically ever since I was a kid. I was a choir kid in school. I was a drama club brat and did all that kind of like if you picture like the TV show Glee, that was kind of me, except they didn't let us sing down the halls and stuff like that. So we tried, but it's kind of frowned upon. But I always did that, and when I grew up, I kind of figured, yeah, that's a pipe dream. That's not going to be something that's going to sustain me anywhere. So I just became a working stiff. But I always liked to find ways to sing. So karaoke became my huge junkie thing that I loved to do, and wound up hooking up with a friend of mine here locally who has played in some bands. His name's Dave Putzback, and he owns a tattoo shop in West Seneca. And we used to do some just little stuff here and there. And he was like, he would have like little just parties at his house, and he'd be like, I'm going to bring out my guitar. He's a drummer, but he taught himself how to play the guitar. And he was like, come up and sing a song. And I was like, okay. And I would sing, and we'd do a few songs, and then it almost became like we did our own show, but it was just kind of for whoever was at the party that year. And it branched out to doing a couple of benefits, and we toyed with the idea of having a band, and we started rehearsing. And this was about like 2010, I think it was. And we finally found a gig, and we're going to play out for our very first time. And it was at Tony Rome's, which is Mooney's now.
Yep.
And we threw a name together. We didn't even know what to call ourselves. I think we put up on the marquee "Age Before Beauty" is what we called ourselves. And it was literally one show. And my Dave, the drummer, he wound up not being able to play. I don't remember if that he hurt his back or something like that, like literally the night before the show. And we had a replacement drummer come in and play for us. Who basically winged through the whole thing. And I had a blast. I felt like a rock star for like 2 hours, and it was amazing, and never played again. So that was it.
Okay, that makes me ask you this question, because it sounds like what you're telling me is something similar to my experience, and you never ask a lady her age. I would never do that. But at what age were you when you first played in front of someone? Because I'll tell you, I was 49.
Okay, I actually don't remember exactly, but I was probably in my 30-ish. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm 47 right now, so. So I was probably in my mid-30s or something. So the first time I actually, got with a full band and played.
Yeah.
But I'd been singing since I was like 5. So.
Well, it's funny because like I played like at churches and stuff like that over the years and stuff, but never really played in front of an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was, I don't know, 47, 8, 9, whatever, before. And I didn't have a band. It was just me and an acoustic guitar and an amplifier at the bar over on Southwestern Boulevard that was, geez, I can't, Pizza for You, I think is what it was called. It was the old Hector's Hardware. You remember that, Mike?
I probably went into the hardware store a few times.
Well, I know you weren't there when I played, but.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that. But that's the thing with me too. Is I'm one when you say to your, I'm one. I started late in terms of playing out. I mean, I started playing, like the first time I ever played in front of anyone professionally. I was paid $6. I played in a band called the Sentimentalists.
Wait, we're supposed to get paid for this?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. No.
That's why we're not playing, honey. That's why nobody's playing right now. But yeah, and it was in the basement of the one of the kids in the band's. I was like 12 or 13, I think, 12 or 13.
Yeah. And
we played in his basement, and we were like a wedding band, and we played in his basement for his parents had a party, and they paid us each $6. And then a week later, we played at a Boy Scout thing at the old Mill Road School. I think it was Troop 512, and we played up on stage for an hour, and we got paid $1. And but my first professional paid show I got paid $6. And then I joined my dad's trio. He had like a jazz trio. They also played weddings. I played in some clubs. I wasn't supposed to be in there because I was underage, but nobody ever asked me how old I was. So it was like a trio, and I kind of cut my teeth on that, and then got into a rock band naturally in my teens. But yeah, so that was how early I did.
I got to ask you this too, because we were talking earlier, and I need to know the story behind the staple gun.
Oh God. Well, the staple gun story is not a Red Rain story,
right?
But I was in a band many years ago called Voyager back in the '80s. With I hope they don't mind me mentioning their names: Jay McDonald, Jerry Kegler, Bill Bacco, and Jimmy McDonald. Jim McDonald was the bass player for oh gosh, my memory now. Local band right now.
Wasted Whiskey.
Wasted Whiskey.
Oh,
and, yeah. And the band Voyager was together in the '80s, and we broke up in 1984. Oddly enough, the year my first son was born. And anyway, in 2011, in August of 2011, we had a reunion, and we got together at Jim's house, and we went downstairs, and for the first time, we played for the first time together since the 80s, and we were having a ball. And there was kind of, with, hey, are we going to redo this again? Maybe, maybe not. So Jim had a set of electronic drums, and this is the first time I ever played electronic drums. And I was playing them, and I had to put headphones on so that I could hear the mix of the guitars and everything and the drums together and the vocals. And the headphones kept falling off. So, and Jim, if you're watching this, dude, I love you. Please take this in the humor that it's a hilarious story that I love telling people. As a joke, Jimmy, headphones kept falling off. So as a joke, Jimmy went over in his basement and grabbed a staple gun, knowing he thought at the time that the staple gun was empty.
Oh, geez.
And he put it on my head and went, and it was like one of those big Sears jobs, a big heavy duty,
Yeah.
just a little paper. And he went ka-chunk, ka-chunk into my head. And of course, little did he know that he sank 2 staples right into my skull.
Oh, man.
And a little bit of blood started dripping.
Oh, jeez.
And he was, but the good news was the headphones stayed on. So, yeah, we took them out and just put some stuff up there, and it was fine. It was fine. It didn't even hurt that much, but he had no idea the thing was loaded. And so that'll teach you never, anything like that unless you check it first. But
Man,
I love telling this story. It's one of those stories that, yeah, it was weird at the time, but now it's hilarious. So.
Well, we're going to get to some Red Rain songs in a few minutes, but I know that you told me that you wanted to, I don't want to say make a plea, but make an announcement, a kudos to somebody that has been very instrumental. Like you guys, you were a regular weekend band, right? And all of a sudden, that faucet turned off. COVID comes in, you couldn't play anymore. But
just like all of us, yeah. We had a whole Red Rain had built up a lot of momentum. We had played the Buffalo Nightlife Music Awards at the Cove in January, and we did a great job. We were so proud of ourselves, and we were nervous, and we got really, really good response from the audience. And it was the first really we had played for the last year before that spotty on and off different places. Rockin' Buffalo, Strikers, Hat Tricks, Attitudes, places like that.
Yep.
And we were trying to get into some other places where some of the other bigger bands got into, and we were getting good reviews. And then COVID hit, and everybody got stopped like molasses. And but after a while, I'm one of those people that a lot of people in town don't really know who I am, because I didn't really travel in those circles in earlier years.
Yep.
So a lot of these people I don't know, but I've gotten to know a lot of them. And even though I've only met him, I actually remembered the other day, I met him once many, many years ago. I just wanted to say a big thank you, and I know everyone has, on behalf of the Western New York musicians, to Michael Hund, who has done a phenomenal, incredible job of putting himself out there, going through all of the trouble of doing what he's done in court to try to get bands to be able to play, to get clubs to be able to be open, bars, restaurants, and so forth. And the industry, both the part of it that hires us, the band, clubs and bars, restaurants, and the bands owe him a debt of gratitude. And he's an amazing guy. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I see his posts every day. He's busy as anything, and I'm personally, and I know the band is very grateful for his efforts, and I know everybody in Western New York is too.
He's a great player. I've seen him a couple of times, and he's just like amazing.
Oh, he's phenomenal. He's incredible.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, he's Hall of Fame, and he's just an amazing player.
Well deserving of it too.
Yep.
All right, let's do this. Again, I want to get into the Red Rain stuff, but for starters, let's just take a second and listen to some of the. Now, I think this is a live recording, right?
Yeah. I sent you a couple of live recordings. These are live recorded right from the board. No overdubs. Nothing was fixed. This is exactly what the board recorded that night and how they put us out there to the audience.
Okay, and I've listened to this before, and that's where I find it a little bit hard to believe that was recorded live. The first thing we're doing is we're not going to do the whole tune, but something from that. Sebastian, you let me know.
If I could just throw in the guys that recorded it, the man and woman, it's Bradley, I think you say his last name, Borchik.
Okay.
Bradley Borchik and Kathy Sikursky.
Mm-hmm.
Adventures in Sound. They're a sound company. They do the sound for bands, and they did Envy for many years and all that. And they also record. They will record you if you want them to.
Nice.
And they recorded us a couple of times. And when I went and picked up the MP3 and played it in my car on the way home, I was blown away by the sound of it.
Well,
it was just incredible.
You mention anybody's name that you want to, because there's no censorship here. You can say whatever you want, but
I just don't know if these people want to be mentioned. It's like, oh, shut up. You said my name wrong. You should know how to say it.
That's it.
But Sebastian, are we cool over there? The new Sebastian De Jesus. He's at the helm over there. Okay, he's saying cool. So this is the part where we can just go ahead and go get a drink, because we're gonna listen to you for a minute and a half. Cheers.
Thank you.
And we're back with Michael Trigg Lehman, and now we know why we call him Trigg. And Vicky
Yeah, everybody's so relieved now. Oh, thank God we know how.
I've been wondering that for years, man. And Vicky DeVoe from Red Rain. This is pretty cool. That was Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel, obviously, but it was recorded live. And that was Mike on lead vocals and Vicky on backing vocals. Tell me if I'm wrong on this.
Yep.
And
Yep.
in a couple minutes, we're going to go to another cut where we get Vicky on lead vocals and Mike on backing vocals. Looking forward to that.
And Ed, all right, who I'll go through who is in the band too.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Let's talk about Red Rain right now. We can see your banner right behind you guys. Looks very cool. Looks very cool. But whoever wants to start, tell me how Red Rain came about, because I know it was something that was a remake, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you that, and then Vicky can say how she entered
Yeah,
the band.
please.
Red Rain actually formed in 1994. I was not the original drummer. I auditioned. I had sent in an audition for the band. I didn't get selected. The day before I was supposed to audition, they had a drummer play before me, and they liked him enough. They said, "Why bother going through all these other drummers?" And they picked him, which made sense. I was disappointed, but I was like, that's how the
And
business
what year
goes.
was this?
Oh, 1994. So I'm trying to remember the drummer's name. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me mentioning it. Oh God, it'll come to me. Anyway, they rehearsed with him throughout that summer, and then they played their first gig as this band, and it was Ed Badhorn on bass, Robert Rathel on guitar, Diane Cayley on lead vocals, uh, Steve Gasecki on keyboards, and gosh, if I could remember his name, I would. I don't mean to not remember it. They played their first gig. The drummer announced he had to leave the band after the first gig. They called me, and there's a story connected to that, but I won't go into it. But it's a really cool story. Someday, if we ever do this again, I'll tell you.
We'll do it again.
They called me, and I went in for an audition a few days later, and they selected me right away and said, "Yeah, can you be?" I had to have, and I know other musicians have done this. I had to have like 50 songs ready in 2 weeks. And here's the weird thing: Red Rain back then was a 100% country band. We played all the new country: Garth Brooks, Randy Travis, Reba McEntire, all the stuff that was new, the new wave country, the new country music at that time in the 90s, early 90s. And then we slowly worked in some rock. Then the band broke up in the late 90s, and then just by complete happenstance, Robert and Ed happened to be on Facebook. Ed had never been on Facebook before. He got on Facebook. I didn't know he was on it. Ed and Robert were having a conversation through Messenger, and I just happened by chance to go on Facebook, and all of a sudden Robert messaged me and said, "Hey, guess who I'm talking to?" And I look, I go, "Oh my God, Ed Badhorn! I haven't heard from him since the band broke up." So we started to joke about a reunion, and it was a joke. We were joking. And I real quick, because I'm good with graphics and stuff, I typed up a fake Red Rain logo, Red Rain 2, and I sent it. And we were just laughing and joking about it. And all of a sudden they were like, "Hey, why don't we really do it?" And I'm like, "What?" So they said, "Let's call Diane and Steve." Now, Steve and Diane live on the other side of the country. I think they were in like Colorado or North Dakota, South Dakota, something like that. Diane was performing in Las Vegas and doing a very good job of it. Steve had a full-time job, but he was like still a keyboard wizard. They were on Facebook talking, and all of a sudden, within an hour or two, they agreed to fly into Buffalo to do a reunion show.
Really?
And we did 2 reunion shows, Friday and Saturday night, in I think it was August of 2018.
Well, wait a minute. Hang on. I got to ask you a question, because you were still doing New York Rock and Review at that time, right?
Yeah, I had before any of this happened, and before I knew any of this was going to happen, I made up my mind in mid 2017 that I was going to leave Rock and Review at the end of the year. And I told them in July of that year that I was going to play till the end of the year. I'll play to New Year's Eve, and then I'm done. And figuring, I wanted to give them a lot of time to get a replacement. of course, I realized they could have just fired me if they wanted to once they found somebody
Yeah.
else. That's their band, it's their choice. But I said I'll play to the end of the year if you'll have
Who
me.
the hell would fire Mike Lehman? I mean,
Oh,
come on,
please.
you're a great drummer, you're a great singer. Who the hell would fire you?
There's loads of great drummers in this town, and I'm in awe of so many of them. And really, but I thank you. It's kind of you to say that, but so I left at the end of that year. But at the end of November, just as I was entering December 2017, the last month of playing with them, that's when this happened. And I thought I was planning on retiring from music. That was my plan. I was going to be done with it. I'm not going to haul my stuff around anymore. It's getting older, and
Yeah.
it was not getting tough, but it's like, yeah, a little creaky, and I didn't feel like doing it anymore. And then within a few hours, this reunion was set up. And I thought, wow, okay, we're really going to do this. So we planned the reunion over the next couple months. Robert and Ed and I rehearsed. And then all of a sudden they started talking about, it sounded so good that we all decided we wanted to put the band back together and hit the local music scene again. But we couldn't do it with Diane and Steve because they had to fly back to their homes in the middle of the
Right.
country, Midwest or whatever you call it. So we searched for a keyboard player, and we engaged Sal Marino, who's a great keyboard player in town. Everybody
Yep.
knows him. And we had him join the band. And then we wanted to have a female lead vocalist because we wanted to do all the spectrum of music and kind of replace Diane. So we held auditions, and we had about 10 women. I was going to say girls, but I shouldn't say girls. 10 women came in, and it got whittled down to 2 people. Vicky was one of them, and another girl. And Vicky came in and blew this girl away. I mean, she just blew the room away. She sang Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin, and our jaws dropped.
Really?
And so that's how
Vicky,
that
your
worked.
face is getting red.
Yeah. Like I was like reliving it as he was telling it because it was kind of surreal from my end because like when Michael was telling me all about this when it was happening, and when he mentioned that they wanted to actually make it permanent and have the band go back out, and they were going to be a rock and roll band. I was like, that's awesome. And he's like, well, we're going to look for, singers and audition. And he was like, I think you should do it. And I
thought you should audition.
Yeah, that I should audition. And I'm like, I laughed at him. I kind of was like, no. I said, I can't do that. No. I'm sitting here like my day job is I'm a preschool special education teacher. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna sing in a rock band. Okay.
Why not?
So, and he was like, no, he's like, I really think you should. He's like, I've heard you sing. I've heard you do stuff. I was really good friend. I am really good friends with Carrie Engler from the band Envy.
Okay.
I've known her for like 10 years, and she's let me come up and grace her microphone several times when Envy was together.
She's with Hit and Run now.
Yeah,
Yep.
She's with Hit and Run now, and I love her. And always encouraged me to come up. And Michael got to hear it a couple times when we went out to see them. And he's like, Vicky, you can do this. I was like, yeah, but it's going to be awkward. I said, because I'm your girlfriend, and I'm going to, he's like, they don't know about you yet. I haven't even, said anything. So he completely did not tell them that he said that we knew each other, but not that we were dating.
And it's important for everyone out there watching, however many there are, to let you know that I recused myself from the vote.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I left it up to the 3 members to vote for who. They didn't know that Vicky and I were in a relationship at that point, and I purposely didn't tell them because I didn't want it to be, oh, you just got your girlfriend to
Yeah,
sing.
very diplomatic.
I didn't want to do that. So I said, if she gets this, she gets it on her own merits and her own talent. So I didn't tell them anything. And then when it came down to the votes to decide, then I said, oh, by the way, I'll tell you in a minute why, but I'm not going to be part of the vote.
And that's the way it should be, right? Yep, absolutely.
And that's how I wanted it to be. I didn't want it to just be given to me because we were in a relationship. So they gave me a few songs to try out with, and I went to the audition, and then I found out afterwards that Michael told me. He was like, okay, so they've whittled it down. It's between you and somebody else. So they want you to both do this. I think it was just the one song.
I think it was two songs.
Two songs.
Actually.
Yeah. I forgot what the first one was, but the first song I did, and they had the other person do the same two songs.
How many kinds of nervous were you?
I was it was almost like something out of a TV show. Like it was like almost like a sing-off or something. We weren't there at the same time. The other person came at one time, and then I came at a different time. And it was afterwards, like, here I drove myself to the audition because we still didn't want anyone to know that we were an item. And I said, okay, thank you so much. And I left.
And let me just interject real fast. That the other girl that sang with her on that final sing-off, if you will, did a phenomenal job. She did a great job because she's in another band right now. I wish I knew the name of the band. I remember her name, but I don't know if she wants me to mention it. But the other girl did a great job because it was down to her and Vicky. And I was completely prepared for the other three guys in the band to pick this other girl. And I was going to take the responsibility of telling her, saying, you did a great job, but they went with the other person. Sorry, and you'll possibly get into something else. So I was thrilled when the two of them sang, and when Vicky sang Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin.
Which is not an easy feat.
Jaws dropped. When both of the women left, when Vicky and the other girl left, without me saying a word, not one word, they looked at me and they said, oh my God, call Vicky right away and tell her she's it. She's it. I want her in this band. Ed said that, Robert said that, Sal had said it. And so I did a little thing with her. If you want to tell the story, go ahead.
So they told him that I was definitely the one. And so he said he was going to tell me. I was sitting at home and I got a phone call and I saw it was Michael, and I immediately got nervous. I was like, hi. And he's like, yeah, they haven't decided yet. I was like, okay, that's fine.
But they had.
So,
but I didn't want her to know that.
So he's like, yeah, they haven't. He's like, they haven't decided yet. They're still thinking about it. I said, okay, that's fine. I was a little like, huh, but I was like, okay. He's like, I want to know. He's like, if I can come stop over before I go home. He said, because I feel bad that like you had to leave and I couldn't like say goodbye to you or anything because, nobody knew that we were an item. So I was just like very professional, like, thank you and blah, blah, blah. And I left. So he's like, and I want to be able to see you and say goodnight. I was like, okay. So my doorbell rings. He comes upstairs and I still kind of had this look on my face, like, wondering if maybe if he kind of knew maybe which way they were going and did they know? And finally he was just like, I said, I guess we'll find out, whenever they make a decision. And he's like, well, we'll find out now because they made a decision. You're it.
I milked it.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I literally looked at him and my jaw dropped and I was like, don't tease me.
I told her she got it and she refused to believe it for about 20 minutes. She says, no, I didn't.
No, I
said,
didn't.
no, you did. She goes, no, she goes, oh my God, Michael, don't tell me I got it if I didn't. And I'm like, do you think I would ever tell you got something like that and then pull it away from you?
Yeah, that would be cruel.
I said, no, I would never do that to anybody. I'm always honest with people. I said, no, honey, you got it. You're it. You're the new singer for Red Rain. And she still didn't believe it. And I just had to keep telling her over and over. I think she just wanted to keep hearing it. But she finally accepted it. And I think yesterday she accepted it fully.
No, but
she's an
Vicky,
advanced
if you
type.
could have seen what I'm seeing right now, I'm not sure what you're able to see, but while you were saying what you just did, I'm watching Mike's eyes. It was hysterical the way he was reacting to the story that you were telling. Well, I'll tell you what. With that, why don't we, Sebastian? Are you cool with this? Yep, he says cool. So we're gonna do some Vicky DeVoe singing, and
This is one of my favorites that we
yeah,
do.
yeah, it sounds
This
great.
is Vicky. This is Vicky singing lead with Ed Badhorn, who also sings several songs on ours. But this is Vicky and Ed singing. If I can say what it is, this is Under Pressure, and Ed sounds just like David Bowie in this. He just nails
Nice.
it, and Vicky does a tremendous job. I do some backup vocals, but this is one of my favorite songs that we play.
Cool. All right, let's have it, man.
Pressure, pushing down on me, pushing down on me. Don't let us go. Under pressure, the friends are bringing you down. Spits and fancy too. Puts people on trees. That's the place. Let me out. Tomorrow gets me higher. Pressure on, keep running along the streets.
Hey, we're back. Sorry, I guess I I had to run upstairs for a minute. I apologize. But I'll tell you what, that was as close to perfection as you can possibly imagine. Who the hell can sing Freddie Mercury? I mean,
She can.
I guess so.
You should hear her sing Pat Benatar.
Well,
Oh,
you didn't send me that. You sent me.
I know. But a fun story. Vicky's. Well, here, tell them what Pat Benatar means to you.
Oh, Pat Benatar is my idol of idols. So she has been my be all end all since the day I could sing. Like when I sang in high school, my chorus teacher and my vocal teacher in high school wanted me to be. She was really hoping I would go for opera, and I was like,
Really?
I want to rock. I want to rock and roll. And I've always loved Pat Benatar. And when I started really like studying her and like reading about her, and then I found out that that was actually the same story.
I was going to say
Pat
that. Didn't she go through the same
Pat
thing?
Benatar's mother. Yeah, her mother was an opera singer. and her vocal coach and that in school and that wanted her to go for opera, and she wanted to be a rock and roll singer, so it just wasn't going to happen. So that's kind of the same way I was, and so she's always been my dream, and I've seen her perform at least just about every time she comes to town. And Michael knows how much I adore her. And a couple years back, he got us tickets with meet and greets to actually meet Pat Benatar and her husband Neil Giraldo in Pennsylvania, in Erie, where they went to play.
And you got to?
So we drove.
Oh.
Well, it's a funny story because we went to Erie.
Not in Erie, we didn't.
Not in Erie, we didn't. We went and we made a day of it, and we got to the Warner Theater, and we're waiting out in the lobby. And as we got there, because we knew we had to be early for our meet and greets, there were some people in the lobby talking, and they were like, "Oh, the show's canceled." And I'm like,
What?
I looked at Michael and I'm like, they need to shut up because that's a cruel, sick joke, and I'm not going to have it. And I hadn't gotten anything. They're all looking at their phones. I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, I don't see anything. I'm looking in like the glass doors, and I can see finally in the back, I can see Neil Giraldo, and I'm like, oh my God, he's like right there. And so I'm like, there's no way it's canceled.
Pat Benatar couldn't sing because she had some throat ailment.
They came out and told us that unfortunately at the last minute, she was really trying to put it off and not cancel, but she had to cancel the show because there was no way she could sing a note. So they apologized to everyone. They said they would contact us to let us know. I was spent. I was defeated. I was literally, I will admit it right here, I was a ball of tears on the way home. And all Michael kept saying was, Vicky, as God is my witness, whatever, I will scour the internet. If they rebook that show or they
come back to this area,
they come back to this area, we are going.
That's a good man.
And I was like, I just kept saying, okay, and I'm sitting there, they're not going to come back. They're not going to come back. It's not going to happen and all this. Well, it was like about 6 months or a year later or something about that.
Yeah.
Around, they wound up coming back, and it was at the Seneca Niagara Casino.
Oh, yeah. I remember when they were there.
So Michael said, guess what? I got it again, and this time it's happening. So I'm like, okay. And in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, unless she gets sick again. I said, something's going to happen. We're in there and we're waiting in line and everything. And I'm like, I'm just waiting for the boom. And it didn't happen. I'm standing on stage. They had us go up on stage to where they were going to perform. A
stage I had actually played on.
Wow.
Many times with Rock and Review, by the way.
And they had the setup where the two stools are. It was this time it wasn't the full band. It was just her and Neil. And they were like, all right, she's going to be out in a minute. And I was like the third person in line. And I saw her walk up the stairs from the other side. And I just started like, oh my God, this is actually going to happen. I cannot believe this. And Michael and I started to walk up when it was our turn. And the first thing out of her mouth as I started to walk up to her was, she said, oh my God, what a cute hairdo. And I was like, I'm dead. That's it. Kill me now. I can die. I'm like, Pat Benatar just said she loves my hair. Okay. So, and I started to cry, and I was just like, you have no idea how much you've meant to me all my life. And she was just like, she's like, it's okay. She's like, no, honey. She's like, don't cry. She goes, this is a happy day.
And I'm desperately trying to find the picture of her meeting her, and I can't find it because it's like somewhere on the thing.
Yeah, so,
but and so she got to meet Pat, and it was really cool. And I got to meet her too, which was nice. And and Neil Giraldo couldn't come out for the meet and greet because he was on the phone doing some business.
He had to do a business call.
Okay.
Yep.
She came out and apologized for him. So a year later, he was in Buffalo He played at the Cove actually, and he was here promoting his 3-chord bourbon whiskey.
Oh,
And we went to a liquor store just to meet him. I don't really drink that kind of stuff. Yeah, I drink wine occasionally, but you didn't have to buy any. You could just meet him. We went into this liquor store in Hamburg, and Vicky and I and this one other guy were the only people waiting to see him. So we said, we're going to get some hang time with this guy.
nice.
So I have a picture of us with him here, but I scrolled past it. We got to meet Neil Spider, if you
Yep.
will, and we got to talk with him for quite a while.
Got to have a drink with him.
We had a little drink with him, a taste of his bourbon, and then we could have had some, but we each bought a bottle just for him to autograph. And I've got a bottle still sealed, unopened in my cupboard, which has his autograph. I usually display it, but I got Christmas decorations up now. And Vicky got one too.
How cool is
So
that?
a year later, we got to meet him as well. So that was really, really nice that she got to meet her heroes. And that made me really happy that that was able to happen for her, because I knew how much it meant to her. And when I was standing there, I had let Vicky go first. And when I was standing off to the side and Pat said, "Oh my God, I love your haircut. That's so cute." I was like, "Oh, you have no idea, Miss Benatar, what you've just said and how you've just made her life." So that was really nice. But yeah, we sing Promises in the Dark, right?
Mhm.
Promises in the Dark. And Vicky just, on that high note in the middle, she nails it every
Nice.
time. In fact, usually the audience applauds when she hits it, because it goes right through you, because everyone's waiting to see if she's going to do it. And believe me, she does it. It's
So
phenomenal.
very cool.
She's a good singer.
Well, all right, we got to wrap things up right now, but I mean, give us an idea as to some of the set lists that you guys do. Give us,
Oh gosh, we do. Let me. You know what? I have my computer right. Wow, this is very handy.
Mhm.
I have it right in front of me. We do. I'll just say that some of the names of bands that we do. We do Queen, Republica, Paul McCartney and Wings, Blue Oyster Cult, Pink, David Bowie, Tears for Fears, Yes, Evanescence, The Moody Blues, Supertramp, Alien Ant Farm, Pat Benatar, the Beatles, Annie Lennox, Edgar Winter Group, Steve Hackett, The Tubes. I think we're the only band in town that we do White
the
Pumps on Go.
Tubes, man. I haven't heard that tune in so
Yeah.
long.
We usually end the night with that when we were playing it out.
Okay,
But,
let me ask you.
we
Hang
do
on, let me
that.
ask you a question, Mike, because you just said it. Lead singer for the Tubes. I know the name. I'm sure you do too. Yep.
Stevie Waybill.
Yep. Not too many people know that. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
a junk
yeah. So,
question.
No, a lot of people when we tell them the name of the band. By the way, before we go, let me mention the names of the people in the band.
Please.
Our band right now is, of course, Vicky DeVoe, myself on drums, Michael Trigg Lehman, on bass, the guy who actually created the band, Ed Badhorn, and he's also the guy who created this logo. He designed this logo for Red Rain, which works well for us. And Robert Rathel Ed's on vocals and bass. Robert Rathel on lead guitar and vocals. And on keyboards now we have the great Eric Zack.
Nice.
And that's the band we've had since around mid 2018,
2018. Yeah.
18, end of 2018, near end of summer, and just having a ball with it. And that's the music we play. We try to, people hear the name Red Rain. Oh, are you a Peter Gabriel tribute band? No, we are not.
Mhm.
I'll let Ed Badhorn tell you the story someday about how he chose Red Rain. I think it was selected from the Peter Gabriel song, but he just liked the sound of it. Sledgehammer is the only Peter Gabriel song we do. We also do Mama by Genesis.
Okay.
But Red Rain is simply just the name of the band. And we try to play music. We try to get away from what you hear and I'm not putting down any other bands because they play these songs great. But there's so many songs. We all know what they are. There's the joke about Brown Eyed Girl. And, you know, we don't play any of that stuff. We play songs from bands you know, like the ones I mentioned, and hits that they play, but not the same songs every band plays by that band. We try to pick something different, a little more challenging. And I can tell you that, and I've seen a lot of other bands are following this concept, and we try to do something that's a little different from what you hear. It's great that those other bands play those songs. So there's so many good bands in town. Hit and Run.
Yep.
Help me out. I always say the
Flip Side.
Flip Side. Nerds Gone Wild. I mean, we're friends with these people. I don't like this. And not that a lot of bands do it. I don't like angry competition. No. Like, oh, that band sucks. We're better than they are. No. We're all working musicians. We're all trying to have fun up there on stage. We're all trying to entertain people. There's room, not for everybody, because there's a limited amount of places to play, sadly. And with COVID, some places are going to be shutting down, I'm afraid. But we're hoping and praying that COVID goes away and the clubs can open back up and people can get back out and see bands, not just us, but all of them. And everybody can get back to doing what we love to do for everybody.
Yep,
So.
and the other thing, too, is that the one thing I wish that Western New York would open up to is original music, because a lot of times you go to do original music, they don't want to hear you. They want to hear Freebird, they want to hear Stairway to Heaven, Brown Eyed Girl, you know, the whole drill. And
it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell, because if you play original music, 9 times out of 10, if you announce it, people tune it out because the immediate thing they respond to is, oh, okay, I don't know this song, so I'm really not going to pay attention.
Right, but every song...
Unless you're in a concert setting, then, you know.
Every song that's a classic song, the way that they call it now, was brand new at some point.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know.
Yep.
But anyway, no, I thank you guys so very much for being generous with your time. And, you know, it's been a blast talking to you. And
same here.
And we haven't had any, as far as I know, any gremlins, so we should be good with that.
On our end. So.
Well, I want, on behalf of Red Rain, I want to thank you, Pete. I want to thank Sebastian and Alex, who I know isn't there, but thank you in spirit to him, and because this is his baby along with you. And thank you so much for inviting us on, and hopefully, if we can do this another time,
That'd be great.
We'll get the whole band on
Oh,
together.
I would absolutely love to do that. And in the meantime, Sebastian is kind of honing his skills to be able to do some videos for live shows that you, because I would love to have had, because I've seen them, some of your videos that I've watched. And so, you know, we'll talk about this more so. But again, thanks so very much. Mike Lehman, Vicky DeVoe from Red Rain on behalf of 3 Chords and the Truth, which is a saying from an old blues country player from back in the 20s. That's where I got the name for this show. And, you know, thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Back at ya. All right, good night.